user interface of Solibri Model Checker version 9.8 consists of two main parts. We have essentially layouts, and on those layouts we have views. What we have here is a model that's been opened, and right now we're looking at the model layout. We then have additional layouts. You'll see we have checking, communication and information takeoff. The file layout is the only one that's fixed as a standardized layout, and by default this is what we'll see when we first load SMC. So we see the recent models and also the recent places. If there are particular files that are a favourite, we can pin these so they appear and stay at the top of the list. We can also access the roles for choosing new roles, going to the settings. We can access the Solution Center, go to the settings of the software itself and take a look at help. You can also access the rule set and extension manager from here. The final option should be clear. That will exit and close the software. Switching back to the model layout, we'll start to take a look at what we can change in here, and one of the first things we're actually going to do is return to file and change one of the settings, because we have an option which will activate what's called a compact layout. So we'll return to file, go to settings and then click on general. There are a number of options in general, but the one we're interested in right now is called compact layout. If we switch it on, you'll see a warning message appears explaining that we have to restart the software for the settings to take effect. We'll do that now. So I've now restarted the software, gone back into the same model and gone back to the model layout. We don't see much difference at this stage because we've not gone in depth into the settings yet. But if we look at these examples, here's a comparison of the information takeoff running the standard layout and the compact layout. And if we compare these, you'll see there's a number of additional lines of information that are able to be displayed on each view. You'll see the layout bar at the top has been reduced in depth to give us some more space here, and also the navigation toolbar has been reduced in size as well. Running at this resolution, which is full HD of 1920 by 1080, this extra space helps, but it becomes far more important when we're running at a lower resolution. So here's a couple of examples of the standard layout at HD, so this is now 1280 by 720, and then we have the compact version. So in both cases at that resolution we're going to have to change and modify the layouts to configure it for our own personal needs. We'll stay in the model layout, and what we'll do is look at how we can manipulate the views that are already here. So a layout consists of these three main areas. We have the model tree view, we have the info view, and we have the 3D view. These might be called palettes or windows in other software. First thing we might want to do is just reposition the divide between the 3D view and the model tree and the info view. You'll see as we move to the separator, there's an arrow appears, and we can simply just drag and drop to reposition. I might want to switch on some other views though, so at the top right hand side of the screen there's a views pull down option, and this shows all the other views that are actually available to be switched on. If they're already switched on, they appear as greyed out text. In this case I'll switch on the selection basket, and by default when it appears it is undocked, so we can grab the bar at the top and we can move it around the screen. What I can't do is drag it and dock it into the side of the screen yet. We have a specific area we use for that, which is this area here. Once I've got that, I can now drag, and you'll see I've got a preview of where it will go. We can drop that into the position we want. If I've got a view switched on that I don't want, or I want to undock it, we use the same control. Each view has the same option. We can click, and we can choose to either maximize, undock or close. So initially I'll undock, that puts it back on screen. I can then use the handle and drag it across to dock at the other side of the screen, and maybe in this case I decide I don't want it at all, in which case we grab this and just say close. When we switch to communication, we're now looking at the default layout, but what I've done is I've added a presentation with a couple of issues so we can show how to reconfigure this, because the default format isn't optimized. You'll see on the left hand side we have a list of issues. There are actually a number of additional columns we can switch on here, but there's not enough space to read them in this position. If we look at the issue sorter across the bottom of the screen, it's taking up a lot of space that would be better used if issues were positioned there. So what we're going to do is reposition both views to make better use of the space. So to do that, what I need to do first of all is undock each one of the views. I'll then take issues and drag it to the bottom of the screen, and I'll take the issue sorter and we'll drag it to the bottom left underneath the presentation view. The final default layout is information takeoff, and this is the one that's probably the most crowded if we're running at a lower resolution. So in here you may have to reconfigure this depending on your own screen size. In addition to modifying the default layouts, we also have the option to add our own. If we click the plus button, a dialog appears where we can enter the name for the new layout. I'm going to imaginatively title this one example layout. We're now in the blank layout, and as you can see it is completely blank. If we don't like the title or the name, we can right click and we have the options here to add an additional one. We can rename, or we can actually remove this one. But we're going to stick with this one, and what I need to do is choose the views that I want to place. So we'll go to views, and pretty much all of the time I'm going to want 3D. 3D, when it opens, automatically docks to become maximized. I can then choose which other views I want on top. I'll then choose the model tree, info, and classification. I can then shuffle these around and use the docking handle to place them into the interface. This time side by side. Once I'm happy with the format of the layouts, it's important to save these so that if we go to another machine, we need to be able to recall the settings. So for this we return to File, Settings and Layouts. In here we can choose to restore either the default layout set, or I could open an existing layout and restore it to default, but what I'm going to do in this case is save as. So we'll save this into resource area and give it a descriptive name. That file can be taken to another machine and used there if necessary.